Monsters are dangerous, and just now, kings are dying like flies.
I am the king!
Fuck the king.
Today we'll be going over Jon Snow, one of the main characters in both the television adaptation of the books of Game of Thrones. Jon Snow is the bastard son of Eddard Stark and the son of his mother, who we now know is Lyanna Stark. He was raised by his father alongside his true-born half-siblings, but joins the Night's Watch when he nears adulthood. He is constantly accompanied by his albino direwolf, Ghost. At the beginning of A Game of Thrones, Jon is just 14 years old. He is one of the major POV characters in the books. Even at age 14, Jon is said to have more Stark-like features than any of his half-brothers. Jon has a lean build, with dark brown hair and gray eyes so dark they border on black. He is graceful and quick. Tyrion Lannister notes that Jon has a traditional Stark face in everything but name. Long, solemn, and guarded, a face that gives nothing away. He remarks to himself that whoever Jon's mother was, she left him a little bit of herself in her son's appearance. Arya Stark is said to resemble Jon on the most of the Stark children. After joining the Night's Watch, he dresses in their official black garb. There is no description of a personal coat of arms in the books, but George R.R. Martin told the company Valyrian Steel, who made replicas of Jon's sword, to use reverse Stark colors on the plaque that goes with the sword. Now we'll go over a little bit about his character and his history as well. Jon was raised as a Stark and Northerner, and in many ways took to their values of honor, to which he tries to conform even when faced with complex and morally ambiguous decisions. He idolizes his father, Lord Eddard Stark, but is wounded by his refusal to discuss or name his mother. He has a perceptive and observant outlook and displays bravery, resourcefulness, and quick thinking during his time at the Wall, eventually becoming a natural leader and mentor in the Night's Watch. While he was close to the Stark children, Jon once stated that, as a bastard, he grew up quicker than they, and he is shown to be a great deal more solemn than his siblings. The experience of maturing with an illegitimate status made him bitter and with a desire to prove himself. Thus, he chooses a life of hard duty in the Night's Watch to earn his own honor. Despite his somber demeanor, however, he is compassionate towards those he views as fellow outcasts and rejects, and is particularly close to his tomboyish half-sister Arya, who also understands how it feels to be overshadowed. He is noted to be a skilled horse rider and is a gifted swordsman, being trained with swords since he could walk. Jon is also said to be better than his half-brother Robb with the sword. He keeps faith with the old gods as well. In A Clash of Kings, Jon discovers that, like his brother Bran, he is a warg and can therefore take control of Ghost whenever he opens his third eye, quote-unquote. Also, like many of the other characters in the series, he occasionally has dreams that seem to be prophetic in nature. In A Storm of Swords, Jon was legitimized by Robb's at the time the King in the North decree, therefore removing his bastard status. However, the decree was only issued shortly before Robb's murder at the Twins, and it is unknown whether the decree was ever disseminated. Jon remains unaware of its existence and of his change in status. It is also debatable whether the other opposing houses would accept the decree, even if it were to be known. Jon Snow's parentage remains a mystery for the longest time. He believed to have been born towards the end of Robert's rebellion, within 1 month, give or take, of the sack of King's Landing. Returned from the war, Lord Eddard Stark brought the newborn babe to Winterfell, insisting on raising him with the rest of his family. Jon was named by Lord Eddard Stark. Jon has an older half-brother, Robb, 2 younger sisters, Sansa and Arya, and 2 younger brothers, Bran and Rickon. Jon received a noble's education by Master Luwin alongside his half-siblings. His presence at Winterfell turned out to be a source of fiction between Eddard and his wife Catelyn, who saw Jon as a constant reminder of her husband's infidelity. She treated him coldly, making him feel unwelcome. His appearance, resembling Eddard more closely than any of his trueborn siblings, strained the relationship between himself and his stepmother further. However, Eddard will always fiercely protect, Jon. He treated him the same as his trueborn children, and Jon got on well with his half-siblings, particularly with Robb, whom he viewed as his best friend, rival, and constant companion, and Arya, who never seemed to fit no more than he had. Despite this, Jon always had issues with his bastardy at the times he felt alienated, contributing to his eventual decision to join the Night's Watch, where the circumstances of his birth would be of little importance. Growing up as the two eldest boys, Jon developed a friendly rivalry with Robb, whom he differs from in appearance and in personality. Once, they were at a continued game of swordplay in which they would shout out the names of great heroes when Jon called out, as he had countless times before, that he was the Lord of Winterfell, leading Robb to swiftly reply for the first time that he couldn't ever be Lord of Winterfell and he was bastard-born. This became a sore memory for Jon, as part of him always wanted to succeed Lord Eddard and resented that it was impossible for him. When he had been a boy at Winterfell, his hero had been the young dragon, the boy king who had conquered Dorne at the age of 14. Despite his bastard birth, or perhaps because of it, Jon had dreamed of leading men to glory, just as King Darion had, and bestowing honor on the house he had never really belonged to. He hoped to somewhat fulfill these ambitions when joining the Night's Watch, but became disillusioned and ashamed of such dreams, resigning himself to his fate upon the wall. That was a quick synopsis of Jon Snow's character in the Game of Thrones. But why was Jon Snow resurrected? Is he the fabled Azor Ahai as told by folklore and prophecies in the show and the books? Will he be the new king of King's Landing? Only time will tell as we get towards the end of the show and the books. Thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for the next video on Lannister United.